So a while ago I did a video on everything that I hate about casual dating and hookup culture. And I had a lot of fun with that video, so I thought why not make a part 2 where I talk about all of the good things about hookup culture. I did get so many comments on that video from people telling me that I'm an evil girl for promoting hookup culture. And bear in mind, this was on a video saying the things that I don't like about hookup culture, and a lot of those comments were certainly the worst takes I've ever read in my life. So I guess it'll be interesting to see what people might have to say on a video where I'm talking about ways that hookup culture might be good. Anyway, for those who don't know me, I'm Katie. I like to make videos talking about sex and dating and relationships and all that fun stuff, so if any of that sounds fun to you, I would recommend subscribing. That is just my little tip. In terms of whether hookup culture is a good thing or a bad thing, my opinion is probably not quite neutral, but I do think that I am relatively good, or okay at least, at balancing the positives and the negatives of it. So for the sake of right now, let's just say that I'm a completely neutral third party on the matter. I personally do not participate in committed serious relationships at all, but I also personally do not participate in casual hookup culture at all. I simply do not participate in anything. Full stop. I think in this video the reason that I tend to avoid serious relationships probably comes across a bit, but if you want to hear more about the reasons why I generally avoid casual hookups, then definitely go and watch my video on everything wrong with casual dating and hookup culture. I will link it up above and then also in the description for you to go watch after this one. But yeah, I can very much see both the goods and the bads of hookup culture, and I truly believe that people who love to be judgy and weird and creepy about people who enjoy casual sex need to chill and also cope. Anyway, let's talk about some reasons why casual dating and hookup culture might be fun. I think people might prefer casual sex over serious relationships for a whole bunch of reasons. Being with one person long term obviously could be nice. Serious relationships also come with a big commitment and a lot of pressure, and they can be kind of complicated and definitely stressful at times. I think generally everyone who's been in a long-term relationship kind of agrees that they do take work and they take effort. It can take a lot of work finding the time to get to know someone and sort of figuring out how to incorporate them into your own life. I love my little routines so much. My bedtime routines, my daytime routines. I have no idea how I would go about having a whole nother person that I have to somehow like include or consider in all of that. I feel like it would be so hard for me. I think there are just so many things that you have to do when you're in a relationship with someone, like consistently reply to their messages and organize things in your life to make room for them, and somehow introduce them to your family. I don't know if it's just me and my avoidant attachment style, but I can't be bothered. The whole thing is such a time commitment, and I feel like if you are casually dating people or casually hooking up with people, there isn't really any commitment at all. It literally just is, when do I feel like doing this? When does someone else feel like doing this? There's no real need to incorporate it into your life and into your schedule. It's sort of like signing up for a gym membership versus signing up for spin cycle classes. If you sign up for classes, you've kind of made that commitment, I guess. I don't know how fitness classes work. Like, I'm assuming you maybe pay a subscription fee and it's some sort of commitment. I could be entirely wrong about this and the whole metaphor could fall apart. On the other hand, if you just have a gym membership, you can kind of go whenever works for you. Now that I've said it out loud, it doesn't feel like a great metaphor, but I felt really smart when I thought of it just before, so can we just pretend that it was really clever and insightful? Also, aside from the commitment stuff, I think that there's a lot of emotional stuff that comes with being in a relationship that you don't really get with hookup culture or casual dating. I mean, I'm not going to act like people just don't feel emotions whatsoever for people that they're seeing casually, because I mean, it happens. But in general, there's less of this like attachment and jealousy. Like, there are just so many feelings and emotions that come with having a person like that, whereas if you're seeing someone casually, you can just get the kissing and the smooching without any of that other stuff. And there definitely are benefits to sex and hooking up. It's good for you, it's good for your mental health, and it's good for your physical health. This is something that has definitely been confirmed by science, trust me. You know, you have all the neurotransmitter stuff, the dopamine and the oxytocin. I think there's probably serotonin as well, if I had to guess. I'm not 100% sure. And I mean, it's exercise, is it not? It's certainly a workout. So for people who don't have the time or the energy or the inclination towards a serious relationship, hooking up is a nice, easy way to get all of these benefits of having sex without all that other stuff. I feel like when people talk about hookup culture and casual sex, there's a huge amount of focus on the negative health impacts. So that's like people saying it makes you more depressed and messes up your self-esteem and gives you STIs. And I mean, this is just like blatantly not true information at all. For one thing, you can get an STI regardless of whether you're having casual sex. Stopping hookup culture is not going to prevent STIs. Preventing STIs would need a better sex education, better access to STI testing and protection, normalizing getting tested regularly, normalizing talking to your partner or partners about all of these things. I think that putting like blanket blame on casual hookups for STIs is just very reductive and inadequate in terms of actually helping anything or anyone. And then in terms of the emotional outcomes, there's actually really mixed evidence. But the studies that have been done on how people feel when they participate in hookup culture are actually really interesting, I think, because yeah, a lot of people come out of them and they experience these negative emotions, they feel kind of bad about it, and a lot of people come out of it and they feel great, they feel less lonely, they feel better about themselves, they feel less anxious, less depressed. And when you look at kind of differences between these groups, for the people who are having all of the negative outcomes, a lot of the time they have way more internalized shame about sex and they view it as something that they need to be feeling guilty about doing, and they're a lot less comfortable with knowing and also asking for what they want from their partner, which from my perspective, these outcomes definitely come more from purity culture and the culture that's kind of shamed sex and shamed exploration around sex than it is the outcomes of actually hooking up. The people who don't view sex as shameful and who are comfortable knowing and asking for what they want when they're having sex are way more likely to have positive outcomes. So I don't know what that tells you, but I feel like it says something. And I think that this basically comes to what I think is the biggest pro of hookup culture, and that is the fact that it is pushing back against purity culture and sexual shame, which I think are two things that very much need to be pushed back against. I don't know if this has come across about me yet, but I am very sex positive. I do not think people should be feeling shame or guilt about how much sex they're having or how much they enjoy sex. I think that the fact that for so long, like hundreds of years long, people have been told that sex is bad and dirty and shameful and something you only do with the person that you're married to or deeply super in love with, has caused so many problems for people because that stuff really gets internalized. You start to feel like it means there is something dirty and shameful and bad about you as a person if you go against these expectations of who you should be having sex with, and if you just like sex because it's fun. I think that the fact that normalizing hookup culture is pushing people away from these feelings of guilt and shame and kind of changing the social narrative and the way that people talk about sex, and especially the way people talk about virginity, I think is fantastic. Like, I feel like it's becoming so much more and more common for people to acknowledge the fact that the whole concept of virginity is ridiculous. Like, sex isn't something that you give up or give away to a person, it's something that you do together with a person. So yes, I'm a huge fan of the fact that the way people talk about and understand sex and sexual shame is having this huge society-wide kind of shift. Fantastic. Can't fault that. I just think it's very epic to see people normalizing and accepting sexuality as an ordinary part of the human experience. I also think it's so wonderful that people are less likely to view a woman's sole purpose or goal in life as finding a high value man to get married to and have kids with while they're still young and desirable. Honestly, whenever I see people saying stuff like that, I just cannot believe that they think that way. Like, it's like, oh my god, shut up. And that's what so many of the comments are on my last video on hookup culture. Okay, I really just want to read you this one comment that I received yesterday because it was just a comment for sure. So, you think that it's okay to have casual sex? Let me tell you something from a man's point of view. When a woman has casual sex, a high quality man will not consider her serious relationship or marriage material. He will look at her as toxic, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed because she's had multiple partners. Then you throw in the mix loyalty, passing on resources, etc. Stop telling women that it's okay to have casual sex, because ask any man if he wants to have a serious relationship with a woman, does her body count matter? And I can guarantee you that 99% of men will say, yes, it does matter. A high quality man will be out of there before a woman says, I got daddy issues. I think that's, yeah. An interesting thing about that video is that I'm not actually talking about hookup culture as a thing that just women participate in. It's a thing everyone's participating in, but all of the comments shaming hookup culture are essentially that one, saying women should not be participating. Nothing about anyone else, just women, which certainly doesn't say anything sexist at all, does it? Anyway, I just love how people will say things like this and just think it's a completely normal opinion to have. But I do think that it's great that the normalization of hookup culture has A, decreased the number of people who do think like that, and B, made people who do think like that super mad and upset and cry about it. I promise you all, people do have more to offer than having never had sex. Hookup culture might be real. Okay, what was I saying? Alright, okay, another good thing about hookup culture, I think, is that it lets people experiment a lot more, not just in terms of like sexually experimenting, although they do obviously get to do that too, but in terms of kind of like relationship structures and what kind of things and people they like. So for a lot of people it means they're able to explore their sexual orientation more than they would have if they were sort of bound to this very normative expectation of who they're meant to be having sex with. It could just mean you end up getting to know better what you like about people and what you like about the way different people might treat you. And yeah, you probably will get to learn more about what you enjoy sexually, because everyone does things a little bit differently. Variety is the spice of life and all that. I think it also just means you get to meet and connect with people that you maybe otherwise wouldn't have. Everyone, I think, has something a little bit different and a little bit fun and a little bit unique to bring to the table. And I think that that's really cool, actually. I also think it means people are less likely to settle for someone that they don't actually want a huge amount, because I feel like we all know someone who rushed into a serious committed relationship because they really wanted to have sex, but they figured that the only way they could do that and still have self-respect was if they were committed to this person. So they've ended up in relationships that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have settled for. So I think that this might make you more sure when you do end up in a relationship and you're not sort of sat there wondering if you made the right choice, or if you are settling, or if there's someone out there that you might have met if you had explored a little bit more, or if there's just something that you're missing out on that you don't even know exists. Obviously this isn't the case for everyone. For some people, the first person they have sex with is the love of their life and they're happy and they love it and they don't feel like they're missing out on anything at all. But I also think that there are definitely people that this has happened to. Like in my head I have this very clear picture of all of the people who've only ever been with the person that they are married to, and then they get a divorce and suddenly they're like, wow, there is a whole new world of things and experiences out there that I had no idea existed at all. Anyway, I just think that that's something cool, and I think that that's definitely something that, yeah, a lot of people might miss out on because they just feel like it's not a valid or viable option for them. Something else that I think is very, very cool about hookup culture is that it takes so much pressure off of dating and meeting people. If you're going into a first date or whatever with absolutely zero expectations of any outcome, you're obviously less likely to be sitting there panicking, wondering if the person is going to fall in love with you or want to get married to you or want to start a family with you. Like, you can just hang out and see what's up. If the date ends with you going and having sex, cool. If the date ends with you deciding it was fun and you want to hang out again, cool. If the date ends with you deciding it wasn't quite for you, still cool, because there was never any commitment or intention to commit to anything when you went into the date. Neither of you had your hopes up that it was going to lead to you falling in love. If you had done, fine. But it means that if you weren't feeling it, it feels like a little bit less pressure to let them know that it didn't really feel like anything at all to you. Obviously this does mean you have to be making your intentions clear to the person before you go on the date. Like whether you're looking for something casual or whatever, you should say that up front. Like, yes, I will go out with you, but just know that I am casually dating at the moment. I'm not looking for anything serious. But I mean, you should be doing this regardless, like in any situation. I think that this is definitely one of the things I find very, very stressful about dating. Yeah, so I've been on a total of, I think, 3 dates in the last 5 years. And a lot of that is for reasons that I've talked about in the video. Like, for one thing, the time commitment. I just can't be asked. I've been getting a degree. For another thing, I just haven't liked anyone enough. But I do think that the main thing is kind of the pressure that there is on dating people. It makes me nervous. I don't want to accidentally lead someone on. I don't want to have to explain to anyone that I'm not capable of a serious relationship at the moment. It just stresses me out. It's fine. I'm gonna start dating again soon. I know I've said this in like 8 of my videos that I'm gonna start dating again soon, and I just don't. But I mean it this time. I promise. But don't trust me too hard. Anyway, that's it from me. I actually found this video more easy than I thought that I would, because I do have a lot of problems with hookup culture. But yes, go and watch my video on the problems that I have with hookup culture. It goes nicely with this one. Also, I talk about hookup culture in my videos on the lies people tell about sex and ghosting people, and probably also every other video I've ever made. I talk about hookup culture a lot. But yes, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your opinions. Try your hardest to not say something super sexist and misogynistic. I think it would be so sexy and cool to not do that. But again, I guess everyone is entitled to their own opinion. My opinion is that people's sex life should be whatever is most comfortable and feels most right to them personally. And I think that it's wonderful that people are given a lot more opportunity to make that choice themselves based on their own feelings. So yes, that's my conclusion. That's my Spark Notes TLDR. That's all. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel as well. Thanks for watching. Okay, love you, bye!